This is the 15.6-inch infotainment system that you're going to find inside of the VinFast VF8. And there are a ton of different features that are available inside of this ride. I'm going to talk you through everything that you need to know. So first thing, you've got your total battery percentage along the top left-hand side. You've got the flexibility of showing your current miles until or kilometers until empty, or the battery percentage instead. You've got your trip counter along the very top there. There's a button on the tip of the left side of the steering wheel. You can push that in order to jump between all of your different trip counters. So you can see there a few different options that are available. So you see a few different options there. If you tap it, you can jump between any of these different options if you'd like to. And any of the ones with a reset next to it, you've got the flexibility, just hitting reset in order to zero it out again. Along the very top, you can see whether or not you're connected wirelessly. So this has an active 4G connection, but I'll dive into that one as we get into settings. You've also got your current time, same idea. You can hit the time if you want to in order to be able to adjust out your time, date, language. There's also the option of adjusting these out. So one of the cool things about having a valet driver is that with valet on, you can have the speed limited to a certain speed, which is fantastic. They also can't look through all of your different settings and things like that. So you're getting your vehicle serviced, or if you're handing it off to a valet driver, you can toggle that mode on. Whether or not you're connected to a phone, and then you can also call VinFast support. Now on the screen itself, so this part of the screen essentially is going to stay locked into place. And then you've got your maps here, and then obviously your radio with the options that you've used recently. You could do a push and hold there as well if you wanted to adjust the screen. So you can change the wallpaper, but you can also add add and edit widgets. So if you don't want service to be there, you can get rid of it. If you wanted to add in different widgets, you've got the flexibility to be able to do it. So you can really kind of customize this screen and make it your own to a degree. So this one, as I mentioned, is going to be stuck in place, but you've got your light modes that are available there. So as you flash your high beams out, you can see it's turning on, turning off, etc. What gear are you currently in? So whether that's park, reverse, neutral, and then drive. Straightforward. I like the little animation there. And then you can also see a boatload of other options. So whether or not your electronic parking brake is engaged or not. And then you can also see whether or not the driver has their seatbelt on. If there's added weight on either of the seats, those will all pop on as well. So if I put my seatbelt on here, you can see we're green. So we're good to go. You currently got whether or not the charge door is locked, unlocked. You can also open up the hatch from the inside, swipe across to see that deeper seatbelt view instead. And then there are a boatload of settings along the outside. So you can adjust out your lights if you want to. Keep yourself in the auto mode, which a benefit there is if you're in the auto mode, vehicle can automatically turn on the headlamps for you, the high beams. If it recognizes somebody's oncoming, it's going to dim them automatically before bringing them right back on again. You've got a few different other unique light modes as well. You can toggle your fog lamps on or off. And then you've got a series of different interior lighting controls, which I'll touch on when we get to settings. Side view mirror control is done in an interesting way. So you can adjust either the left or the right side, but when you hit the left or the right side, in order to actually be able to adjust them, you just have to use the left pad along the steering wheel to do it. And you can see there, we're adjusting the mirror out using the left pad, and same idea. When you go to the right, you're hitting the buttons on the left side, or the pad, I should say, along the left part of the steering wheel in order to adjust that mirror out as well. You've also got the option of power folding. Hello, the side mirror is there if you want to. You can also go tilt and reverse. So when you put yourself into reverse, the mirrors are automatically going to tilt down for you and then tilt back up when you go back into park. You can toggle that one off if you really wanted to, but it is kind of a useful setting. From there, you've got some options for steering wheel. So adjusting the steering wheel is interesting. I was looking along the side there to figure out how to do it, but once you're in that mode, you can then go up, down, backwards and forwards in order to customize the steering wheel and really make it your own. It's really neat. You can also toggle on the heated steering wheel this way on top of that. You can push here for your head-up display. And the head-up display, very non-obtrusive, which I love, but there are so many things that you can see inside of the display. You can tweak out some basic color schemes for it as well, and it's very, very subtle. You can have navigation showing, so if you've got turn-by-turn directions going, driving aids, you can adjust the brightness here on top of that. Now, one thing that I will also point out with the head-up display is if you wear polarized sunglasses, it's actually, oh, can you see? Yeah, look at that. Very, very tricky to see the head-up display if you wear polarized sunglasses. It's not impossible. It's just that with them on, makes it pretty challenging. You can also hit this in order to open and close the sunshade, so the sunroof itself, which is kind of neat. So by hitting this, we could open and close, but we're going to open up the shade more than halfway. So once it gets to that line, it's going to stop. And then you can vent out if you want to, create a nice little cross breeze, or you can also choose to open it up part way. And then full way. So that's one of the really cool things about the VF8 is that it actually has a panoramic roof that can actually open up. And then it's just a slide in order to close. Same idea with the shade. So really straightforward, being able to either open or close, and then same idea, you can open and close both of them simultaneously if you want to. Really cool options there. Like I said, you've got maps and a few others, but along the very bottom left-hand side, you've got some quick controls. So you can toggle your traction stability control on off. The only time that you'd want to turn this off, so traction stability control specifically, in wintertime conditions, if you're finding that you're having difficulty gaining traction, you can turn it off. You can adjust the brightness of the ambient light. You can also tweak out the color, but I'll show you that one deeper into settings. You can adjust the screen brightness there as well. I find that the display brightness on full is the best in my opinion. There are some different chimes. There's also wireless charging. So the charge pad down the center stack, you do have the flexibility of being able to turn it off if you really wanted to. You can turn on GPS monitoring, and then there are also a few different modes. Pet mode, look at that. You can adjust the message here as well if you wanted to. You can exit pet mode. Ooh. There we go. And back inside. Oh, where are we here? And then back inside, we can also go into camp mode. When you're in camp mode, it essentially keeps the infotainment system on and running, and then you can exit camp mode there. Because after a few minutes, the car eventually will power off. So that's how you can keep everything running, is if you're in camp mode. And then valet mode lets you put in restrictions, like I was saying. So if you've got a valet driver, you've got the flexibility of setting it to a valet mode there or there to restrict features, access to different things, going past a certain speed on top of that. You can hit drive modes, and you've got a few different options available. So normal versus eco versus sport mode. And one neat thing is that as you're in different modes, you've got creep mode and a few others, but you can see there, it tweaks out the look as well too, which is kind of neat. I love that. So eco, if you want to get the best possible economy. Sport, if you want the best possible performance. Creep mode is an interesting one. So with creep mode turned on, what's going to happen is you take your foot off the brake and the vehicle is going to creep forward, almost like a traditional internal combustion engine. Regenerative braking, even on high, I find that the vehicle doesn't slow down very rapidly. So it's still a fairly slow slowdown. I guess I'll say it like that, but you've got a few different levels. So whether or not regenerative braking happens at all, so you take your foot off the accelerator, you're not going to slow down that quickly, versus high, you take your foot off the accelerator, you slow down very rapidly instead. And there's a full 360 camera. So you've got your full 360 view here, but you can also do this view as well. I think the quality here has to be updated just a little bit, but it's still pretty cool that that's available as an option. You've got a full screen front view. You've got a side mounted view as well. You can see a back view and then also a hitch view. So if you're towing inside of the vehicle, you can line yourself up very easily. I like that they've added that one on, and being able to go full screen is also pretty useful too. Options for climate, and you've got so many options. And one really cool thing, yeah, you can turn on the heated steering wheel if you want to, but you've got heated first row seats, heated and ventilated first row seats, and second row, just on the outboard though. But still, having heated, ventilated in the first and the second row is really, really cool. You can toggle all of them off as well. So if you have all of them on, you can toggle them off too, which is pretty neat. Series of different climate control settings available as well. So you don't have to pull up the climate there. You can adjust things out this way. But if you want to control your fan speed, you're going this way to make it happen. You can go to an auto mode, air conditioning on, max AC, Do you want to pull in air from the outside, or do you want it to just circulate instead? You've got your ion and then your sync as well. So if the passenger side is something different, you can sync it up to whatever the driver's side is instead. And then do you want it going to windshield face feet, some sort of Frankenstein combination with a really, really cool looking animation as you go in between. And then you can swipe to get back to that seat view instead. Pushing along the bottom gets you to your app library, which gives you a ton of other options available too. So recents, any of these settings you can collapse if you want to. So recents are going to be the most recent ones that you've used. You could do a push and hold there if you wanted to be able to bring this back to the main screen on top of that, or button press if you wanted to delete certain things as well. Though I'm a big fan of using CarPlay, so I'd make sure that CarPlay is there. And you've got a boatload of other options here as well. Like if you wanted to, you can even add in some games. There's a full web browser available on top of that. So let's dive in, and we're going to ignore the recents for a second here, and we're going to start off with phone. So as of right now, there's no phone connected. Oh, let's start off by pairing a phone. So as of right now, no phone's connected. So we're going to go device settings on your phone. Just make sure that Bluetooth is toggled on. And then you've got the phone down here. Connect through. Perfect. Bluetooth. Pairing request, just waiting for... Oh, there we go. PIN numbers, and they do match up. I was looking down here. Do I want to allow access to contacts and favorites? So this is not my car, so I'm going to say no to that one. Obviously, if this was yours, you could say that. And do you want to connect to CarPlay? And it's full wireless capability as well, which is fantastic. So I want to hit use CarPlay and then start. And CarPlay starting. CarPlay's currently connected, and look at that. Fully launched in. And it's also very, very responsive as well, which is fantastic. Now, on the CarPlay side of things, you've got your current time, connection and battery levels, which map was open last, which audio application was open last, which miscellaneous application was open last. Then you can get to your home screen, back to a little icon view, which you can also get to by swiping around here as well. Now you do have the option for Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze, but on the iPhone side of things, you've got to zoom in and out this way, and then you can search for addresses, and that's Apple Maps. Google Maps is going to be the same idea. So you can jump in if you want to, but you can't move around. You've got to go this way in order to move around, and then zoom in and out this way. You can search for addresses. You can hit there in order to go to route options. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, and ferries, you've got that flexibility. You can adjust your map colors, volume, north up, and a number of other things. My favorite map application to use is Waze, and there are a few reasons why. So I love the overall layout. It's the same as other map applications, but as you zoom out for a second, and if you start to move around, you'll see other Waze users, and people can mark things off on the map. So if there are cars that are stalled along the side of the road, you'll see that as you drive. On top of that, if we go done for a second, you can also mark things on the map. So if you see that there's a cop pull off to the side of the road, pulling people over, if there's crashes, hazards, block lanes, and things like that, and it's going to let you know what's going on as you drive. So very, very useful as well. You can hit the little home icon there to get back, but you've got so many different options available. So you've got Hoopla for audio, which is a library app. You've also, oh, there we go. Vehicle's going to shut down, so I'm going to turn on camp mode to get the vehicle into camp mode so that the battery just keeps on running. But you've got Hoopla that's available, Live One, which is a radio app. Podcasts are available as well. One cool thing is that when you're connected to CarPlay, push and hold the voice command prompt on the steering wheel in order to activate your Siri Assistant there. Straightforward. And you've got the flexibility to customize the screen. So you're going to go Settings, General, CarPlay, find your vehicle. You can forget it. There's enhanced integration available. You can turn CarPlay off as well, where the phone is locked, and you can customize the screen. So if you're a big fan of having your audiobooks up there and you want to have Waze up at the top as well, you can customize it. Anyone that's on your phone that has a minus next to it, you can also delete. So it fully removes it from the screen, but it keeps it added in at the bottom, so you could add it back in if you want to. But if you've played around with the layout too much and you're not a fan of what you've done, you could hit Reset, in order to bring it back to the factory default screen there instead. So straightforward. You can hit the VinFast button there in order to get back to the home screen, button press there to get back to this screen. If you're on this screen, straightforward. We go to the home screen here. You You can see that I've added Apple CarPlay down there, so I can launch back in very simply that way. If you go back here, and we're going to go to our settings for a second, you've got the phone that's currently connected. You can push there to stop Apple CarPlay if you want to. So if you hit stop, it's going to disconnect CarPlay. And that's that. So I know that's a little bit, but that's how you set up Apple devices inside of the VF8. Setting up an Android device is the exact same process. So if you weren't on the screen, if you're back on the home screen there, you just hop through, you can go phone. And actually, I think it's going to say that I'm currently connected to the iPhone still. So you can exit out of that. Going to go hop back in and going to go to settings. And you've got phone list there. You can refresh. Going to hop in here and got the Galaxy, so that's this phone. There we go. So we're going to connect through. Pairing request. Okay. Yes, the PIN number was right. Do I want to start Android Auto? Yes, I want to do that. And it's asking me, do I want to allow access to contacts and messages? Again, this is not my car, so I'm going to say no to that one. But watch this. Look at those. Fully connected, which is fantastic. So nice and simple. You can see there any sort of, ooh, that's kind of neat. That's new. Oh, never seen that screen before in like literally any car that I've reviewed. Kind of neat. So you've got your audio applications that are there, and this is Google Maps. But one awesome thing about the Google Maps side of things is that you've got full pinch to zoom capabilities on Google Maps, which is fantastic. Now on the screen, very similar to the iPhone side, so you can hit there if you wanted to pull up different things like route options. So if you wanted to avoid things like highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that. You've got notifications, whether or not those ones come on, yay or nay. You can change up your heading as well. You can go in and out this way, or as I showed you, pinch to zoom capabilities too. Along the very bottom, you can go back to this little split screen. You can go to an icon view, back to the main view. You can push there in order to activate your Google Assistant instead. You can push and hold the voice command prompt on the steering wheel to activate your assistant that way if you want to. You've got your maps, and then there are also a series of other options along with the very bottom where it's going to show you your connection level as well as your current battery level too. So it's pretty straightforward using it. Back to this screen, I've got Waze installed on this Samsung, but if for whatever reason, if you've got Waze installed on your phone and it's not showing up, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a walkthrough explaining how to actually activate Waze on your phone. And then on your device, if you search for Android Auto, you're going to go to your Android Auto settings. That's going to give you a boatload of different options. But the one that we're looking for is Customize Launcher. So if you click that, there are a series of different options here. So you could, if you wanted to adjust this, you've got the flexibility to do it. But it's not dynamic the same way it was on the iPhone side of things. So in order to be able to see the changes that you've made, you're going to go back home, go into your settings. You're going to hit there to stop Android Auto. You're going to hit there in order to start Android Auto. And just give it a second. Launched in, and boom. The changes that we've made have come into effect. So like I said, not dynamic, but I mean, it's easy enough being able to add the phones in. Hopping back home, if you go back into your setup, you've got both phones that are now connected. You could hit there if you wanted to. You could stop it again. Press there in order to activate the phone, disconnect, activate, disconnect, or completely forget it. So if you wanted to forget the devices, forget and done. And same idea, let's disconnect, and we can just forget and forget. And both phones have now been forgotten from the vehicle, but it's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the VF8. Hopping into advanced settings, nothing overly exciting there. You can hit this icon though if you wanted to get into your Wi-Fi. There are a series of sound settings and a number of other things. So those are some advanced settings, but if we hop back down now, so we've got the phones that are connected. Hopping down, you've got different options for media. So you've got your iHeartRadio, media, TuneIn, etc. So if you click on any of these things, you can see favorite stations. You can do a press and hold if you wanted to be able to adjust them. So if you wanted to kind of get them in slightly better order, you'd have the flexibility to be able to do that. You can hit there if you wanted to remove it, or you can move certain ones to the top. So if you're a fan of different stations, you can adjust it that way. You can hit all stations to see all of the available stations based off of your geographic region. Though very useful if you're new to an area, not sure what stations you can listen to. And that's obviously on the FM side of things. You can hit there in order to listen to Bluetooth audio if a phone was connected. I've got a USB stick with some MP3s on there. You can see there, different MP3s available. So if you wanted to listen, you've got that flexibility. There's genres available. No way. Is it going to play video? Oh, I think it is. It's going to play video. Amazing. So it's got video, full video playback available as well. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, hold on. I just have to... Okay, I think it's just going to play back these options unless it's going to play back this unknown format. Will it? Will it? Oh, no. Okay, so it does look like it's very specific formats that it's going to be able to play back. Actually, hold on. Where were we there? Media. Yeah, let's go back to USB. Yeah, so there are quite a few different options that are different videos that are here. This is essentially just like a little dash cam that was going, but I mean, full video playback is technically available there, which is fantastic. But yeah, there are a boatload of different types of media that are on here, but it looks like it's, yeah, so it's very specific media that's going to play back, but still, full video playback is really, really cool. I love it. And then there's also the option for Alexa built in as well. Obviously have to make sure that you're signed into your Amazon account in order to be able to fully utilize those features, but it is available, which is amazing. Now you saw there's also tune in radio. So there are different options for radio, but we see here you can get premium, but that's going to give you a boatload of different options available as well from an audio perspective. All right, and iHeartRadio's there as well, as I mentioned. And then you can also, I didn't point that one out, show A to Z, frequently used versus a category. You can see driving aids as well. So driving aids, so many options. For your speed, you want to get traffic sign recognition, speed limit warning, yay or nay. Are you okay with going up to, 10? Yeah, up to 10 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. It can chime at you as well too if you get to that limit. And then there's also intelligent speed adaptation. So if the vehicle recognizes that the speed limit changes, it can automatically adjust it for you. And are you okay with going up to 15 kilometers an hour over the speed limit? Options for the lane change assist on top of that. So you can have nothing happen. So if you start to veer over into another lane, nothing will happen. It can give you a little bit of a warning. It can give you a little bit of a warning and bump you back into your lane as well. And then there's also lane keeping for emergency too. And then the sensitivity. So as you go to move over without signaling, the sensitivity of when it's going to bump you back over. And you're going to get a chime as you change lanes without signaling. Let's see, there's adaptive cruise control as well as highway assist, and you can utilize it while you're driving. So there are a series of buttons along the right-hand side of the steering wheel in order to toggle them on. But if you want to walk through on how these things actually work, see a live demonstration, you'll find it down in the description of this video. Different options for camera, nothing exciting there. Forward collision, so this is basic safety settings. So blind spot safety is an interesting one. So if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, it's going to highlight along the side view mirror there in order to let you know that there's somebody there. And you can also get a chime letting you know if somebody's in your blind spot. See driver monitoring. So there's a camera right on the very top of the steering wheel there, and that's going to watch your eyes. So with that off, nothing's going to happen if you start to not pay attention to the road, but you can get a warning letting you know that you've got to be paying attention. You can also toggle your traction stability control on or off there. And then parking assistance, it's not park assist, but rear cross traffic alert. As you go to back up, if somebody's coming perpendicular, it's going to let you know of a potential collision. As you're pulling out of a space, it can also let you know of a potential collision there as well. All right, from there are different EV settings available. So you can see your current battery percentage, your expected range, and the temperature. Everything that you've got going on in the vehicle is going to take away from your range though. So if you've got the AC going, the heated ventilated seats, whatever the case may be, that's going to adjust out your total available range. You can also hit there in order to adjust a few things. So do you want to go up to 100% of charging the battery? If you're using the battery percentage the next day, going to 100 is okay. Typically though, you're going to want to keep yourself in the 80 to 90 range. So one of the really big reasons why is because if you're constantly charging up to 100%, it's going to lead to faster battery degradation. So if you're going on a road trip next day, set yourself up to 100. You can change up the car charging limit as well based off of where you're charging. So if you've plugged into a spot and you're finding that it's not charging properly, you can adjust the charging limit. And then as you're driving, when do you want to get a reminder that you might be a little bit too high or a little bit too low, I guess I should say, and you're going to need to charge yourself up. Plug and charge, nothing exciting there. And display, do you want either percentage or kilometers? So you can see there, so your total mileage. So whether that's kilometers or miles is going to depend on how you have the screen set up here. But you've got different options available there. And let's see here. Owner's manual gives you everything. So it tells you everything that you need to know about the vehicle. So if this video doesn't help, this is where you're going to go in order to get all the other information that you might need, including things like if you want to know what you have to do for maintenance, you can start typing in, giving it a second. Let's search. Perfect. Look at that. Gives you all of maintenance schedule overview. Actually, I'm curious, what's the maintenance looking like here? Nice. Nice and simple. And then back out. So having a full digital owner's manual, very, very useful. So if you're getting weird messages on the dash, you're not sure what they mean, it can let you know. So you're going through in order to see that. Different options for the service available as well. So you can see what's going on with your current tire pressure, seatbelts, and then if there are any alerts there as well. And then you can also contact VinFast support back home. And then a series of, like, so many different settings. All right, so you've got your current phone list. So if phones were connected, that would show up. You can see some advanced settings as well. So nothing exciting there. You can toggle yourself on and hook up over Wi-Fi. So if you're downloading games, apps, whatever the case may be, you can use that instead. You could also adjust all of the available volumes. So you can adjust your media volume, volume for navigation if you're using factory maps, your phone calls, your ringers, and things like that. You can adjust your equalizer there too. Gives you a few different options that are available. You can fully customize. And then you've got your focus. So do you want it focused strictly on the driver, on people in the back seat? Do you want it to just be front zone focused or all zone focused instead? So focused on everybody. Really neat. And back, you've got different wallpapers that are available. And the wallpapers are very subtle. So if we change it out, if you exit out, yeah, you can see there, very, very subtle wallpaper change along the very back, but it is available as an option if you want to. And then you can also add in a USB image. So if your USB stick has some has images on there, I should say, you can upload it to customize the image yourself. Next up is going to be security settings with the option for a geofence. So if your vehicle leaves a specific area, you can get a notification on the phone or through the vehicle there. Same idea with time fencing, so when the vehicle is allowed to operate. So if you have it parked at home and there's a potential for a theft risk, you can also lock out when the vehicle can actually be driven too. Valet mode, so you can enter in your own custom valet pin. So you lock the vehicle out into a valet mode, and then from there, if a valet is using your vehicle, they can only go up to a certain speed if you want to. From there are anti-theft systems that are available. So if the anti-theft alarm goes off, is it strictly going to be a light, horn, or both? Toggle on GPS monitoring. Vehicle settings. Okay, so seats. Easy entry exit seat. You do have the flexibility of, yes, you can see here, when you go to turn the vehicle off or get out, it's going to back the seat up and lower it in order for you to get in and out of the vehicle a little bit easier. Same idea with the steering wheel. So you'd also be able to have the steering wheel get pushed in, and then when you hop into the vehicle, it'll reset it back to your default settings there instead. Child presence detection. So if the back seats have been opened up or if there's something back there, so if there's weight on the seat, it can let you know when you hop out of the car to check the back seats to make sure you haven't forgotten somebody back there. Doors. Do you want to be able to kick on the trunk door in order to be able to open it up? When you unlock using the fob, is it just the driver's door that becomes unlocked or all doors? Do you want to auto unlock when you shift into park? General safety, I usually say no to that one. And then when you go to lock the vehicle, do you get the lights, horn, or both? Options for wipers. When you've got your windshield wipers going, you put the vehicle into reverse, it's automatically going to turn on the rear wiper for you. And then you can also toggle on the service mode, which means that the wipers are going to be in the locked position up, just so that people can work on them if necessary. Wireless charging pad on, off, yay or nay. Lights. You can toggle the dome lighting on the inside here, which is kind of neat, but you've also got the flexibility of having it in the auto mode. So if you toggle your dome lights on there, it turns them on automatically. You can still toggle the dome lights on yourself manually though as well, so just button press, in order to be able to turn them on. But it is kind of neat that you can adjust that through the screen. You can adjust the brightness for the head-up display and for your touch screen as well. Exterior lighting. Do you want to have your high beams automatically come on? Yay or nay? It can lower them as necessary, bringing them right back up if somebody's oncoming. Welcome lights as you approach the vehicle. That looks really cool. And then you've also got follow me home. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do the lamps just turn off or do they stay on for up to 2 minutes when you go to lock the vehicle instead? Ambient light. Do you want ambient light? Yay or nay? And if you do you want to have no effect? Do you want it to blink, wave, Morse code instead? And then what color do you want? You can fully customize the color inside of the vehicle. So really make it your own. And honestly, the look of it at nighttime is really, really cool. Especially when you get into some of the other modes like that blink or wave. Pretty neat. From there, there's also a series of other options here. Now, this is an interesting one. So as you go into languages, you can adjust out your language to a ton of different options. Date and time. You can have auto date and time turned on, so the vehicle is going to determine what the date and time is. But if you go off, you can then manually adjust it all yourself. So I always recommend auto date and time, but time zone you may want to have off. And that's just depending on where you live, because if you straddle a time zone and you're constantly flipping back and forward, you can lock it into your own unique time zone, or just let the vehicle determine which time zone you're in. Do you want to be in that military time instead, so 12 versus 24-hour mode? And how do you want your date and time to be shown? Now, the other one, units. As of right now, you've got either kilometers there, and then you've got Celsius or Fahrenheit. So you can see it adjusting out your climate down on the bottom. What tire pressure do you want to measure in? And then, do you want to be in percentage or kilometers up there? Now, you also have the flexibility of adjusting your measurement units, but you can see there, it's doing nothing when I press. So in order to be able to change your measurement units, you actually have to change your region, so your country there. So let's say if we were down in the States, you're doing a cross-country road trip, you can change out languages, and you can see there, it automatically adjusted everything out to the USA standard instead, including distance in miles. So you can see there your current distance. If you look at the different odometer readings there, you can see that option too. And then if you hop back into home country and change, you can have it automatically default to Canadian French as well. And there you go. And that's how you're adjusting your different units. And then there's some basic information. So you've got your total odometer, your VIN number, MAC address. And then you can also customize your vehicle name. So when you're set up over your phone, it's what the Bluetooth name is going to be. So do you want it to be VinFast VF8 or do you want to have it set up for your own personal preference instead? It's the basics of your settings. But along the very bottom, you've got Alexa. You have to sign into your Amazon account in order to be able to use it, but you'll be able to do things like set up directions. You can make phone calls and so many other things inside of this ride. But if you hit the voice command prompt otherwise, it just pulls up the Alexa option and you have to sign into Alexa in order to be able to use the voice command prompt. That's one thing I'd like to see changed around, where you can still utilize a voice assistant without having to utilize Alexa. From there, you've got a series of different games that are available. There's also factory navigation inside of this ride too. And factory navigation is really straightforward to use. So actually, let's click through. I'll show you a few different things. So if we go to the search option there are some hot button presses in order to be able to search for some things. So if you wanted to check out local EV charging stations, you can hit that charging button and it's going to search around to see what's there. There are quite a few that are around me, which is very useful. You can see available stations only, so if nobody's plugged into them. Which type of plug? Do you want fast charging or just regular charging? What wattage do you want? And things like that. So really straightforward being able to utilize this, and then searching for other things, like you can look at point of interest icons as well. You can also search for things. So if you wanted to look for, nice and Canadian of me, a Tim Hortons, so you can take a peek, select any of the options, and then you've got the address there. If your phone was hooked up, you'd be able to make a phone call there as well. You can navigate and then look at the available routes. You can adjust route preferences. So if you wanted to add a charging station to stop along the way, you can look at the shortest or the fastest route available, and you can avoid things. So avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, tunnels, and so many other options. You've got so many different things available. So if we look at the shortest route instead, actually, I think it's going to be the same route. Yeah, it'll be the same route regardless, but you can avoid all these different things as well if you really wanted to. And then from there, you're just going to hit navigate, and it's giving us the option for navigation right now, and it's really straightforward to use. And one even better thing is that once you've got your route set up, It also shows you right inside of the head-up display. So there are turn-by-turn directions that show in the head-up display on top of that, which useful. It's very, very subtle, but you can see there in the head-up display, oh, big finger right there. So you can see that you've got your turn-by-turn directions there, along with all of the other usual things inside of the head-up display. So very, very useful. You could also press there to get some other options so you can see different views. Satellite view, ooh. Nice, very nice. Default view, you've got 2D versus 3D as well. You can turn on traffic data if it's available. Very nice, VinFast. I like the way that this screen looks. And then exit out of there in order to exit the route. From there, you've got a series of other options. So if you wanted to search for other addresses, you've got that flexibility. Previously search for routes. Searching for GPS coordinates is also possible. From here, you've also got a series of other options. So offline maps, if you've downloaded maps to the vehicle, benefit is that you're not utilizing data. You're just going based off of the offline map data instead. Different options for your EV settings. So, okay, so it's basically just notifications that you're looking at, and then preferred charging along the way as well. So if you are looking at charging stations along the route, it's just essentially setting your default methods there instead. Navigation options. Do you want to auto add a charging station? So if you've got a route, it's going to give you a charging station that you can stop at along the way. By default, do you want the fastest or the shortest route? And then do you want to avoid different things on the highway? So do you want to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, tunnels, unpaved roads, and things like that? There are voice options available. So as you come to an upcoming turn, it's going to let you know that you've got to turn left, turn right, whatever the case may be. But you can toggle that one off instead if you didn't want to get that voice guidance. And then basic about information, so you can clear all of your history, your data, etc. So all of the addresses that you've searched for, you can just hit delete and clear. In theory, so it's gotten rid of the previously searched for destinations that were there. I like the overall style here, though. It's really neat, especially being able to do the default versus that map view. And you can even go map 3D. Oh, that is really, really cool. Nicely done, VinFast. That looks beautiful. That's something that you typically don't see inside of map applications with other manufacturers. So actually seeing the satellite view, I think, is a really cool option. And then you can switch around to different heading views instead. Really neat. And then back out, you've got a boatload of other options too. So games that are available. Nancy Drew, I gotta do it. My sister was, well, all of my sisters loved this back in the day. That's hilarious. So full-on games inside of this ride. That's pretty good. I'm assuming, obviously, you won't be able to play the games when you're driving, so I've got to check this one out. So I'm going to put myself into reverse. Once it loads, there we go. Yeah, okay, there we go. That makes sense. Yeah, so you obviously can't use the games when you're driving. Totally makes sense. And then web browser, where you've got the flexibility of doing things like pulling up YouTube directly if you wanted to watch YouTube videos and things like that. And it's full screen as you're watching too, which, I mean, that is really, really nice. Easily search as well too. Our old friend, Mr. Beast. So ridiculous. I love how this guy's gotten so big. It's so wild. All right, let's click on any one of these videos, see what happens when we load up. There we go. Let's go full screen.
This cube was not $1 million for this.
Very cool. Very cool. So you're using a regular web browser here as well. Can you adjust the quality? Yes, you can. Auto quality and things like that. So it literally is a full web browser that's available inside the vehicle. And then a series of other settings. So it's straightforward. There's so much to it, but it's everything you need to know about the infotainment system inside of the VinFast VF8.